Good morning. It's an absolute pleasure to be back here in Seoul. I get an opportunity every couple of years to come talk about issues that we face as an industry. And certainly today, we have some of the toughest issues associated with data and decision making than we have ever seen. And I think you'll find that your time that you spend with us today will be time well spent as we introduce brand new capabilities, brand new architecture that can help speed your time to decision making. When we talk about all the data that is out there today and the challenges that we face, what's changed? What's changed? I think last time I was here, and it was only a couple of years ago, we talked about the importance of bringing data together throughout an organization, creating a data warehouse, and then being able to use that in analytic processes. That no longer is going to work. With the volume of data that we're dealing with today, if we truly want to make data an asset within our organization, a differentiator, then we're going to have to learn how to harness that data and speed our time to decision making. So what's changed? What's changed in the last couple of years? The demand on data within our organizations has dramatically increased. People used to use data in various parts of the organization, isolated. Some doing analysis, others just doing BI. And what we're talking about today is not just BI, business intelligence. But more importantly, we are talking about something that can make a difference in your business, and that's analytics. Analytics that are predictive in nature, business analytics, analytics that can be applied to your industry to solve tough problems. So the demand on data within an organization has increased dramatically. What we ask of that data has become more complex. So the complexity of data usage is growing as well. Again, we used to just use data to answer questions around query and reporting type activity. How many of these things did we sell last month? How many customers did we have last year? But now we are relying on data to answer questions like, what is the risk associated with my positions, my financial positions in my bank? How can I stop fraud? How can I detect fraud? How can I deal with a constantly changing customer base and introduce predictive analytics so that I can begin to service this new customer base? The user base is expanding. We are truly moving to the thought that we are focusing our organizations on fact-based decision making. People are relying on data. And as such, all our users want access to it. And finally, what we're really here to talk about today is that the demand for quick response is an absolute must. We can no longer model data and wait hours or even days for a result. What we're going to show you this morning is truly groundbreaking. It's a true change in the way that you access data. Activities that used to take you hours or days, we will show you that they can now be done in seconds or a couple of minutes. How do we go about this? There are three pillars that we have to address. We've got to look at data in our organization. We have to look at our analytic capacity, and then we have to look at what sort of platforms we are processing this activity on. Now, when we talk about data, we of course talk about structured data. We have relational database management systems within our organizations. We are now dealing also with unstructured data from social media. Hopefully we're looking at unstructured data. We certainly should. That is incredibly valuable. And as Shaker mentioned a few minutes ago, we now have to look at an information management policy if data is truly an important asset to our organization, as important as our customers and as our products and as our employees. If data is an important asset to our organization, we have to have formal information management processes that ensure that the data is relevant to the task at hand. And then finally, there's the topic of big data. Everybody is talking about big data. If I were to ask each and every one of you what your definition of big data is, I would probably get 100 different answers. I do not believe that we would be talking about big data if, number one, it didn't represent an obstacle to success in our organization. We're talking about big data because we know it's available to us, but we're having trouble getting to it, and we're having trouble getting to it quickly. So it is an obstacle. And what we're going to show you today is we are going to remove that obstacle associated with big data. We're going to allow you to process billions and billions of rows of data in seconds, which can truly change the way you look at your business. I like this definition of big data. Data that exceeds the processing capacity of conventional database systems. A lot of us have relied on people like Oracle or DB2 or SQL Server, a lot of those relational database management systems to store and process our data. Well, when we start talking about billions of rows of data, we have exceeded the capability and the capacity of these databases. And as such, we have to look to a new way of processing. We need to look at volume, velocity, and variety. When we talk about volume, of course we all understand there's much more data coming in. But when we talk about volume, what are the challenges associated with modeling is that we often have to use sample sizes. We have to have a sample of data, or we have to restrict ourselves to a certain number of variables in our analysis. What we will show you today is you no longer need to sample your data. You can process it all, even if it's more than 1 billion rows, and you can do it in seconds. You can look at all your variables, and you can do it in seconds with this new technology, this new architecture, this new capability from SAS that can change the way you look at your business. Velocity. Yes, the data is coming in quicker than ever before, but when we talk about velocity, we need to be looking at it in terms of how do we take information and push it out much quicker to our users so that they can use it in support of decision making. And variety, I've already talked about variety. We're looking at structured data. We also need to process unstructured data. Analytics. Analytics. Everybody is talking about analytics. Why is everybody talking about analytics? Because we all realize that analytics can give us that edge that we need in the market. Analytics can help us through tough times. While we've had tough economic times, the good news is that we have created a much more heightened awareness of what analytics can do for our organizations. Upper levels of management in your organizations now understand that analytics should be part of our strategy. When we talk about analytics, though, we need to talk about what kind of analytics. Everybody has analytics, but are they analytics that support BI, or are they analytics that support looking at future aspects of our business? So here's 2 columns. There's no single definition of analytics, which is why you hear everybody say, we have analytics, or we're using analytics in our company. The left-hand column shows things like alerts, meaning I hit a certain threshold, and then I have to do something. BI tells me that. OLAP, cubes, building cubes throughout my organization. It takes time to build cubes, doesn't it? And building cubes also creates copies of data. The technology that we're going to show you today, this new solution from SAS, High-Performance Analytics, you no longer need to build cubes. You can build them in seconds on the fly. Ad hoc reports, query and reporting, all these things you see in this left-hand column are things that define BI. You're looking at past activity. What makes SAS so special and what makes what we're talking about so special are these proactive analytics, the things that support proactive decision making. At SAS, we have a 35% market share in advanced analytics. Our next closest competitor only has 16%. After that, it's 1 or 2%. These are the things that can make a difference. Statistical analysis, using a regression to help calculate risk, forecasting, helping us to understand what sort of goods and services we need on hand at some point in the future. Predictive modeling, understanding what customers are most likely to respond to a particular offer, or better yet, what customers might be moving to our competitor. Optimization, operations research techniques that we can use to deal with things like price optimization in retail. These are the things that can help us predict future aspects of our business and allow us to put proactive strategies in place. Platforms. We could talk about cloud. Everybody talks about cloud. It's great. cost-effective way of using resources and sharing resources. We could talk about mobile, and we will talk a little bit about mobility today, what we can do in the tablet environment, whether it's an iPad, whether it's a Samsung device. It doesn't really matter, but mobile is here. And then finally, the reason we're here today is to introduce a new platform, a new high-performance analytics platform that can process data quicker than you have ever seen before. Now, SAS has always prided itself in dealing with hardware advances, dealing with hardware resources within your organization. We've introduced grid computing in the past, where you can take a SAS job and distribute it across many different processors in your organization, taking advantage of the processing power that you have today, and there's certainly cost savings there and efficiency gains. That's pretty good. Then we discovered as data began to grow, we needed to look at the issue associated with data movement. Extracting large amounts of data from a relational database management system into a new data set so we can analyze it takes way too much time. So we introduced SAS in database capabilities, where we can take models and execute those inside the database, whether it's a DB2 database, an Oracle database, a Netezza database, a Teradata database, a Greenplum environment. That worked well, but now we're taking it to the next level. And this is what today is all about. The SAS in-memory analytics platform. We're going to demonstrate this for you today. We're going to show you how quick it is, how it can change the way you do business. Let me start off right up front and tell you that this is different than anything else that you have seen or read about in the market today. In-memory is a hot topic. You hear people like SAP HANA talk about what they're doing in in-memory. You hear about what Oracle's doing with Exalytics and Exadata. You hear about people like ClickTech. This is not what that is all about. Let me make this perfectly clear. This is not an in-memory database. The others are providing in-memory databases, and as a result, they are bound by a single pipe, a SQL query, which limits what you can do with that data. What can they do? They can extract data very, very quickly, but it is impossible to do high-end analytics in an SAP, Oracle, or ClickTech environment. So we changed the architecture. We know analytics, so what we've done is we've created an environment where we take data, massive amounts of data, and we flatten it across multiple blades, multiple processors. And we'll go into a little detail on this. But in this slide, what you see, the vertical slots, those are individual processors, commodity hardware, relatively inexpensive. And Jim Goodnight will talk about what it takes and how much it costs. But it's relatively inexpensive. And we have tuned this environment for high-end analytics, not just query and reporting. We take unstructured data, we take streaming data, we take structured data, we load it in memory for processing. We pop data out from a Hadoop environment into here. We're going to show you, and actually 1 billion rows of data from Hadoop into memory in 8 seconds or less. 8 seconds or less to load it. Once we do that, what do we do with it? Well, we can certainly visualize the data, we can certainly report on it, and that's what others are doing, so you can see it. But more importantly, if you look at what SAS is very good at and the difference we want to make in your organization, we're going to take our core competence, and we have taken our core competence in descriptive statistics, predictive analytics, model development, text mining, forecasting, optimization. Nobody else out there can run this type of activity in memory. This environment, because it is not an in-memory database, enables us to do high-end analytic processing in seconds rather than days and give you results that can give you an edge in the market. At SAS, the last 10 or 15 years, we have focused in on solving problems that are very specific to particular industries. So we take it a step further, and we start to look at things like retail planning, revenue optimization, marketing optimization, stress testing, liquidity risk management. Probably 100 of these solutions, the solutions that have always been at SAS, will run and take advantage of this in-memory analytic environment. So we are focusing things on industry. So as we look it's not just data visualization and reporting. Yes, you can get that stuff quickly from a lot of people, but the stuff that's going to make a difference is what we do with the high-end analytics. I want to take just a moment and mention mobile. We will show you what we can do in a tablet environment, whether it's an Apple iOS environment or whether it's an Android environment. We look at mobile a little bit differently than others. Yes, we do generalized reporting, BI-like reporting on a mobile platform, but probably more important, we develop mobile applications and mobile capabilities that are fit for task. So you're going to see an extension of a high-performance analytic environment where we process billions of rows of data, and now we make it available on a mobile platform. So we have to do that, don't we? If we're going to commit ourselves to fact-based decision-making, we have to give many, many people in our organization access to consistent information. You're going to want more information, probably. There's only so much we can talk about in 2 hours this morning. So we've created a microsite, SAS.com/High-Performance Analytics. You can see the address at the bottom of this slide. There you can find out why we did this, the importance to the market, how does it actually work, and you can also hear from others, other industry analysts, other customers and partners, and how they have implemented this environment. There's an ad campaign out there, and I think this makes a really, really good point. What this says is, what would you do with an extra 28 hours? What it's implying is maybe you have a process, an analytic process in your organization that takes almost a day. What if you could run that in 2 minutes? We're going to show you things like marketing optimization, where it used to take 10, 12 hours to optimize a marketing campaign of millions of customers. And we will show you that rather than running it in 10 or 12 hours, we'll show you it live up here running in about a minute and a half. That is significant, not only because we are reducing time, but we are creating an opportunity to change the way you look at your business. So technology is great, but what we're really doing here is we are removing the hurdle associated with using big data to your advantage. You can now get on with the business of optimizing your business, which will help you not only survive in these markets, but give you a leg up on your competition. So what are you going to see? You're going to see a dramatic reduction in processing time. You're going to see evolution of SAS analytic procedures. Those of you that have had SAS for years, you don't have to rewrite your environment. It may be as simple as putting HP for high performance in front of the procedure, and that taking advantage of this new environment. So the code base that you have is secure. We're going to show you a brand new product, the Visual Analytics Explorer, where we can load over 1 billion rows of data in a couple of seconds, and we can begin to look at what it means and pass that on to other analytic processes. We're going to show you high performance in a business context, not just a cool query and reporting tool or a new way from looking at things from a BI perspective. You're going to see what it means to a business by looking at some applications. We're also going to show you that mobile platform. We want to be able to show you how to design and widely distribute the information. And finally, as you sit there today and you see this new capability, ask yourself, if I can get things that quick, shouldn't I be sitting down and talking about how I could do my business differently? Now with that, I'd like to introduce our CEO and founder, Jim Goodnight. And Dr. Goodnight is responsible for coming up with this idea. It actually came out of this region, and he can tell you a little bit more about what's going on behind the scenes. Thank you very much.